Hello everyone, I'm going to be giving a little presentation about South Korea, giving you some of the facts about geography, population, and their overall culture. So I'm going to start off with the location. It is east of China, north of Japan, and of course south of North Korea. It's mainly surrounded by the Yellow Sea and the Sea of Japan. They have very moderate and temperate climates considered to be type C, with mild hot springs and summers and cold winters, kind of similar to some of the weather that you would see here in America. And it does have a lot of hills and mountainous regions. The people, though, they tend to stay more in the areas that are a little bit flatter because that's where they do their farming and make a living. So a little bit about their population. They have 3 major religions, but over half of their country is non-religious, and that kind of reflects back to when Japan had power over them in the early 19th century, where most of them could not have any kind of religion. Their language is Korean, but English is also widely taught in schools. And then a little bit of history about them. Like I said, they were taken over by Japan in the early 1900s. During this occupation, there was a huge huge rural to urban shift that stimulated a lot of development, which you can still see is like reflected there today. They were freed after the Korean War, and it was split into North and South Korea. And currently they're really growing as an economic power with huge tech companies really having a lot of their plants set up there. So now about the population actually in numbers itself has been on the decline. If we're going to talk about like demographic models, it's in stage 5 because so much of their older population is dying out. It's the biggest part of their population, and then younger people are deciding to have less children because they have better health care and have a better life expectancy. So people aren't having to have 5, 6, 7, 8 kids just to hope that 2 or 3 will survive to adulthood. And then democratization. So they do have a democracy in South Korea. They have what's considered a flawed democracy, which is actually pretty much the same thing that we have here in the U.S. They have minor corruption within the government, but overall it works well, and pretty much they get what they need to get done. And lastly, we're going to talk about some of their natural resources. So a lot of the country, because of the mountainous areas, is covered in forests as well. They don't have a lot of mineral resources, but on the upside, 97% of people have access to drinking water, so that also contributes to why the population is decreasing, because people have access to clean drinking water, and so they don't have the same chance of getting sick from drinking dirty water as they would in a country where they didn't have access to drinking water. It has high hydroelectric potential due to its river systems, and it's surrounded by water. And again, those tech companies are starting to invest in that as well. And that's about it. That's everything that we're going to talk about today that has to do with South Korea.